In this exercise, we're going to take one of the page rectangles, and we're going to add a couple of fill and stroke attributes, some effects as well. And then we're going to update that graphic style that we applied a couple of exercises ago to update the appearance of the other two artboard rectangles in kind. I've saved my changes as graphically styled artboards.ai found inside the 08 type folder. And if you're working along with me, I want you to select one of the rectangles that surrounds one of the artboards. Doesn't matter which one. We can start with any one of the three. Then switch to your appearance panel. And notice that we have a series of fill and stroke attributes. This top stroke is a none stroke, which might seem a little odd, but I was using it for alignment purposes at one point in time. Anyway, what we want to do is we want to start things off by creating a fill in back of the other fills. I'll go ahead and switch to the final formatted limerick.ai file. We want to create this area of lavender background between the artboards. All right, so I'll switch back to the document in progress, and I'll click on this Add New Fill icon here at the bottom of the Appearance panel. Or, of course, I could press Control/ or Command/ on the Mac. And that's going to add, in my case, a fill at the top of the stack. I really want that fill to be at the bottom of the stack, so I'll go ahead and drag it down to the very bottom like so. Then click on it to make it active. And I'll go up to the color panel. Notice that the fill is currently active, and I'm going to change this fill color to 50% cyan, 50% magenta, 10% yellow, and 0% black, like so, and then press the Enter key or the Return key on the Mac in order to accept the modification. Now, we're currently completely covering up this fill, so it might seem like it serves no purpose. There's an opaque white fill directly in front of it. So what in the world are we doing with this new lavender fill? Well, I'll show you. I'm going to have you go up to the Effect menu, click on it, then choose Path, and then choose Offset Path. And that'll bring up the Offset Path dialog box. I want you to change that value to 60 points and turn on the Preview checkbox. And notice what that does is it offsets the path outline 60 points outward on the right and left-hand sides, as well as at the top and the bottom of the path. So it just scoots the entire thing outward. You don't want to go too much farther than 60 points, because if you do, notice if I take this up to 90 points, for example, I start to intrude upon the other rectangles inside of my document. And were these rectangles behind the one that I'm currently working on, then I would end up covering up that information. And that's going to end up being a bad thing, because even though this guy's currently in back of this guy, when I apply this style to the second artboard, it would cover up the first one and so on. So we don't want that. Anyway, I'll change this offset value to 60 point, press the tab key to update the preview, and then click OK. And the deed is done. That's exactly what I want. And we could zoom out to take in the entire appearance. So that 60 point offset has grown this rectangle 60 points outward in all directions. So it's a little different than a proportional scale. I could have gone ahead and scaled this fill if I wanted to, but that would have made the lavender rectangle appear slightly taller. In other words, we would have had more headroom and bottom room than side room. The next step is to go ahead and duplicate the stroke. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in again. Notice this green squiggly border right here. Well, I really want it to be a bidirectional thing. If I switch to the final formatted limerick.ai file, you can see that it's scrubbing this direction, that is up right to down left, as well as up left to down right. So it's scribbling in the opposite direction on the inside of the border. In order to create that effect, I need to take the scribble that we currently have and I need to duplicate it. So with that rectangle still selected on the far left side of the control panel, it's very important that you see the word path right there to indicate that a path outline is selected. If you click off the rectangle and it says no selection, then you can sit here and add appearance attributes, but you're affecting the appearance of the next thing you draw. You're not changing anything that you've already created. All right, so go ahead and click on that rectangular outline to make it active. Then grab that green stroke right there and drag it and drop it onto the little page icon at the bottom of the appearance panel. That creates a duplicate of that stroke. And I'm going to click on the bottom of the two green strokes there, twirl it open by clicking on the little triangle. And I want to offset this path a little differently. I'll click on the existing offset path option. We just saw offset path a moment ago, so it's that exact same effect. But this time when I click on it, instead of working with an offset value of negative 36 points, first I'll turn on the preview checkbox. Then I'll change this value to negative 60. So I want you to keep the negative value, then enter 60 like so. So negative 60 points. That moves that border in, that second border. And we get this sort of double scrub knotted effect right there, which is pretty cool. Not exactly what I want, but interesting as a step along the way. I'll click OK. Now let's change the angle of the scribble effect right there by clicking on the word scribble. That brings up the Scribble Options dialog box. We're going to see more of this dialog box in the future, by the way. We'll see how to work with live effects inside of Illustrator, how to create your own graphic styles, how to work with the Scribble options, and so on and so forth. But for now, just want you to make sure the preview checkbox is turned on, and then change the angle value from 45 to 135, which is the opposite direction right there, 90 degrees away. And as soon as you press the tab key, you'll see the direction of your scribble switch, like so. That's exactly the effect we want, so click OK. Now, we still have a couple of steps remaining. We need to add a little bit of a parchment effect to the yellow interior of the rectangle, and we also need to update our graphic style, and we're going to do both of those things in the next exercise.